Yeah, I think you can hear. Yeah? Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Thank you. Check. I guess I can take my mask off, right? Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Tammy Dorr, President and CEO of the Downtown Denver Partnership and co-chair of Denver Startup Week. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Denver Startup Week. DSW has been the catalyst for lots of change over the past decade. And this week, we're coming together to celebrate the past and dream big for the future. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsors. Thank you to our HQ and title sponsor, Amazon, and our title sponsors whose leadership makes this week come to life. Capital One Cafe, Downtown Denver Partnership, Fluid Truck, Hotel Engine, and WeWork. And our track sponsors who have made all of the great content you're hearing today possible, our founder track sponsor, Kickstart, growth track sponsor, Friday Health Plans, developer track sponsor, Quizlet, product track sponsor, Palantir, our designer track sponsor, Battery 621, and the Public Works. People track sponsor, Exactly, and spotlight event sponsor, Strat Labs. Our headline event sponsors are bringing the excitement to the week. Thank you to B-Side Fund, Colorado Public Radio, Comcast, Coors Brewing, Denver Pavilions, Entrepreneurship at the University of Denver, JP Morgan Chase, Method, Moss Adams, Pi Insurance, Promontory Mortgage, PATH, Southwest, Tattered Cover, and VF Venture Foundry. Finally, thank you to our partner and member sponsors, all listed on the screen. Please say thank you to these companies as you enjoy our hybrid Denver Startup Week. And don't forget, use the hashtag Den Startup Week to share your experiences and moments of inspiration on social media. Have a great week.
I'm Jimmy Eberhard. I'm the founder and CEO of Fluid Truck. Fluid Truck is growing rapidly. We're currently the fastest growing company in Colorado. We're going out there and transforming huge problems in fleets and deliveries and really providing a platform that gives anybody access to the right vehicle when they need it. Fluid's culture is a really unique one. It's a place where you get the opportunity to challenge, and I kind of look at it as like it's a choose your own adventure book. You step in, we're going to push the challenges, stuff that we're not even sure is possible, but we're going to go out there and try to build it. And it's amazing to watch people that stepped inside of us in the last year and now coming in and building, growing, leading teams. We're a testing ground and a proving ground. It's going to build some of the next technology leaders for the next generation. I love Denver Startup Week. I love people that are out there building, creating, starting companies, taking a chance and saying, hey, I've got this idea. Let's give it a go. And so just taking the challenge and going out and trying. That's what Denver Startup Week is all about. Fluid Truck is in a rapid scale mode. We've launched 27 markets this year already, and we're continuing to expand out and build across the US. For anybody that's ambitious, that's going out there and wants to change the world, come join us. We're out there building big stuff, and we need people that want to come lead, challenge, and go out there and transform the industry.
Now, are we there? Like we never left. All right, it wouldn't be right if we didn't have a little bit of technical difficulties. So welcome to the first ever Denver Startup Week BIPOC Pitch Competition. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. I'm Diane Miles, the founder and CEO of Dope Mom Life and the DE&I co-chair for Denver Startup Week. When I first came on as the chair,
You're unlikely to know.
oh, okay. When I first came on as chair for Denver Startup Week, my goal was to create a space and place where people who look like me and all other Brown, Indigenous, and people of color felt like it was created especially for them. This year, these events were intentional. I want us to be able to show up as our whole selves, knowing things were created with us in mind. And here we are at our first ever BIPOC Pitch Competition. All right, thank you. So here are our finalists: Combit PBC, the Museum for Black Girls, Grant Vest, Oh My Empanada, Oso Mills, the Black Travel Box, and Page Dip. Before we kick off, oh, don't move. Before we kick off, I would like to introduce our judges. Thank you all so much for being here and for showing up tonight. You guys just, you know, my whole heart, you guys are amazing. So first, Danielle Schutz, CFO of the Colorado Trust and founder and CEO of the Daily Boss Up. Woo! All right, that's what I'm talking about. And then Emily Winslow, Director of Operations at Change Finance, co-founder and CEO of All Winds Ventures. Woo! Vanessa Guerta, Denver Program Director at Grantor, or Generator. Oh, I can read. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Generator. And Makisha Booth. Oh, woo! And Makisha Booth, founder of Sister Biz Global Network. I know. Woo! No, I love you. Thank you to our prize package sponsors, Bank of America, the Colorado Trust, Fitzsimmons Credit Union, and Gates Family Foundation. And our prize package in-kind donors, the Commons on Champa, Downtown Denver Partnerships, and Denver Startup Week. Thanks to all of our contributors, we are able to offer an amazing cash prize with the top prize winner going home with $10,000. Now, tonight, we are going to move on and hear directly from each of our finalists, followed by a Q&A with the judges. After we've heard from all 7, we'll take a 15-minute break and calculate the scores, and then we'll announce our winner. On behalf of Denver Startup Week, good luck to all of our finalists. I know you guys are gonna kill it. I'm proud of you. Thank you for showing up and being here. So first up, we have Combit PBC.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan. In the last year, problems that exist in society have been laid bare. We have 2 forms of pandemic at the same time, COVID-19 and the hunger pandemic. Our focus is on food insecurity. Globally, almost 1 in 9 is now food insecure. And in US, over 50 million people are food insecure. And in Native American lands, the focus of CONBEAT, all federally recognized nations are deemed as food deserts. There are over 2 million people who are food insecure in these lands. I was recently in the Confederated Colville Tribes in Eastern Washington, home of 12 bands of the Colville people. One side is Grand Coulee Dam, other side is the city of Omak, and in between, there's nothing. It's about 2 hours drive. There's no source of food for the people there. There's a beautiful government center building right in the middle. However, even the people who work there Their only source of food for lunch break is fried chicken and weeks old salad at the trading post. This is my first-hand experience of food insecurity. At Conebeat, we believe localizing food production is critical to addressing food security. This is also the best form of climate action. At Conebeat, we are, one, building a network of community microfarms on native lands. Two, growing nutrient-dense traditional foods so that community members can become community stewards and social cultural entrepreneurs. This makes them in charge of their own food security. Very appropriate is the name Conebeat, a Creole word with origins in West Africa, which means coming together for public commons and community good. The picture you see here is barren land image from Confederated Colville tribe. My colleagues are actually taking measurements to set up a microfarm. We want to convert it into a food forest, growing traditional food crops with commercial mainstream crops and fruiting trees and regenerate the soil in the process. So what do the community stewards, who will be the microfarm managers, get from Conebeat? One, they get snap to grow geodesic structures for all season food production with all the inputs to grow healthy, nutrient-dense food locally. We also provide smart farming technology, including exciting carbon sequestration technology. Soil is the best form of storing carbon. This enables getting carbon credits and lets us take climate action as well. With every microfarm, Conebeat can create one social cultural entrepreneur who will generate 6 jobs and feed 100 people nutrient-dense food. Simply put, Conebeat is about designing for resiliency of the individual, the community, and the landscape. We did a pretty detailed market analysis of global food insecurity and went all the way from potential available market down to targeted obtainable market. Our focus remains on 2 markets in US. Here is the gist of our market analysis. The beachhead market, as I said, is Native American lands. And a second jurisdiction is food and credit deserts in BIPOC communities, especially in urban areas. You may ask, what is our business model? We are essentially in B2G, business to government. Our customers are tribal councils and local governments, wherein we enable growing healthy and nutrient-dense foods. How do we make money? We make money also through a sliding scale revenue share with the community stewards, the social cultural entrepreneurs that we're going to enable, so that if it's traditional food crops or commercial food crops or fruiting trees, they all have their own growing cycle. So you need to have 3 separate revenue streams. So those 3 are our revenue streams. Apart from that, there's also carbon sequestration that we're going to license that technology for non-Conebeat farm owners. We have audacious goals. We want to get to 1,000 microfarms across Native American lands, and we forecast revenue growth to 300+ million. We have an eclectic mix of team members, passionate about food security, and also advisors to drive change in our food systems and further Conebeat. Since launch in July 2020, we have had amazing traction, highlighting just 4 of them: a USDA SBIR NIFA grant for our unique business model, in process of inking a 3-year partnership with NREL to further agrivoltaics, which is agriculture and photovoltaics coming together. We were recently a winner at Greater Colorado Venture Fund Pitch Series. And for our unique model, we were also part of the Ag Innovation Showcase. Our ask is investment as part of the pre-seed round from impact investors who believe in changing the world while owning a pie of a profitable business as well. Our lead investor is the Fund.VC of the Rockies. Forecast is that the global COVID-19 pandemic and the hunger pandemic will worsen in this year and beyond. We want to alleviate this pandemic of hunger now and into the future. Many of the tribal elders we speak with say food is spirituality. At Conebeat, we believe this as well. Let's restore food sovereignty and equity in our Native American lands. Lemlimt, as the Salish people say, thank you. Sure.
Let's see if this works. Okay, great. I'm always the first person to ask a question, so this isn't surprising to be doing that here. It's really nice to see you. It's also really nice to see how far you've come since we last spoke and seeing how your pitch has evolved. It's really great. Can you talk a little bit more about your strategic partnerships and any contracts that you currently have?
Yeah, we have letter of intent in terms of the tribal lands. We have been speaking all the way from island of Molokai to Blackfeet Nation. So we have a letter of intent from Blackfeet Nation in the community college. They all actually want to set up a microfarm. Island of Molokai as well. We have been looking to, they actually have 8 acres that they want to expand, but we said, let's start small with a microfarm and expand. So these two for sure. We also have a letter of intent from Navajo Nation in one of the, what is called chapters. But they have to work through in terms of their community, how the engagement needs to happen. That's very important for us, community engagement, as you can imagine. And in terms of partnerships, we have a partnership with Desert Research Institute. We have a partnership with NanoSpam, which is in nanotechnology. This is going a little bit left field because I didn't actually cover it. It ties to biochar. So we actually take a very whole system approach. So first step is the geodesic dome, where you're going to grow food. What happens to the biomass waste? We're going to actually convert it to biomass, biochar, and then put it back into the soil so the soil is regenerated. And the third component was the agrivoltaics, so that which is a partnership with the NREL, National Renewable Energy Labs.
Testing, okay. I have many questions. Let me try to focus them because I think if you answer this one, I might get the others. So what are you going to do with 500,000 in this pre-seed round? What happens?
Yes. So we are basically looking to capitalize the company and also use some of the money in terms of the technology. There's a smart farming technology that we're building. So there's monies that need to go towards that. Really, I think we are ready to move fast, but we deliberately have been saying we only want enough money so that we can have the runway so that eventually maybe we don't need to actually raise more because we're going to have a streamline of revenue generation from both social cultural entrepreneurs revenue share, as well as getting new nations on board. Because there are 574 nations, even if we get 2 per nation, we have reached 1,000, which is our target in 5 years.
And so the market differentiator from you all, is it a technology? I didn't quite understand. It's a technology for the microfarms.
It is technology for the microfarms. It's also the geodesic dome itself, the structure of it, that is hugely unique. I mean, we are not a greenhouse company. I want to clarify that because a lot of times that is the first question that comes. I said, no, we are one-stop shop, whole system approach to enabling food sovereignty. So when the tribal council signs with us, basically it's a managed service for food sovereignty. I wanted to use this term when I was practicing, but people said, hey, people may not understand what managed services is. But essentially that's what it is, one-stop shop. And basically all the inputs that go to set up the microfarm and the geodesic dome, which is a component of it, and the smart farming, which is also a component that manages the geodesic farm.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about the competitive landscape? Who else is doing similar work serving your market?
Yeah, so when we look at competitors as primarily, you would think in terms of greenhouse companies. So I would say it's indirect competitors. And interestingly, many of the tribal councils and tribal lands have community gardens. We're not doing community garden, which is everybody has their plot of land. What we're saying, we're going to make it more efficient by actually having a microfarm where one social entrepreneur is going to manage this whole thing, but they're going to have community members actually partake in the growing of the food process. So I would say both of them are sort of indirect competition because fundamentally the problem is nobody's paying attention to solving this problem of food insecurity that is there in these lands. Greenhouse companies will look to sell to high net worth individuals who might want to put a greenhouse in their backyard. So we don't necessarily say they're direct competition to us in terms of how we are approaching things.
Can you talk a little bit about your IP with this whole system approach and how you're protected?
Yeah, I already, if you look on our website, you'll see the pitch I give is our business model. I call it regenerative renaissance dash planet, people, prosperity together, trademark. But I'm saying that is because we're taking a whole system approach to doing things. That's a trademark component, but the IP component will be primarily around the carbon sequestration technologies, as well as potentially the geodesic dome structure design. And also, when you expand, we'll be looking at geodesic tunnels. So imagine two halves of a geodesic dome with a tunnel. So if you're trying to grow a lot, so those are really opportunities for IP. And of course, we're working on this grant with DOE on biochar. There's a whole IP component to that as well.
Thank you so much. I love it. Another round of applause for Combit. All right, judges, are you almost done with your remarks for that one? Yeah, sorry, not remarks. Okay, I'll give you a couple seconds. Judges, you get to huddle after. Oh, with me. Yeah. I love a good live event, right? All right, we got that figured out. Like I said, you gotta love a live event. So next up, we have the Museum for Black Girls. And we can all give her a round of applause on her way out.
Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Charlie. I'm co-creator of the Museum for Black Girls. And this is...
Hi, I'm Von Ross, co-creator of the Museum for Black Girls.
kind of go back and forth here with our presentation. We can probably move closer over here. So what we'll talk about today is what the Museum for Black Girls is, what the project is, the purpose, and the impact and the future of immersive experiences. So we want to start out with a quote that kind of aligns with what we're doing and our cause. If people in powerful positions continue to hire and cast only people who look like them, sound like them, come from the same neighborhoods they grew up in, they will never have a greater understanding of experiences different from their own. They will hire the same models, curate the same art, cast the same actors over and over again, and we will all lose. The beauty of social media is it's completely democratic. Everyone has a say, everyone's voices count, and everyone has a chance to paint the world from their own perspective. Beyonce. So who are we and how did we get here? So my name is Charlie again. We saw a gap in just representation for Black women and Black children and Black artists. And so the Museum for Black Girls birthed into all of that, wanting to create an interactive experience to educate and celebrate the achievements and beauty and stories and journeys of Black women.
Yeah, so Charlie is actually the CEO. She is our fearless leader. I am Von Ross, and with Von Ross Productions, we come in and help get the space going, work with the artists to give them direction in the space. But this is a place where Black women can feel celebrated, where they can feel seen, where they can come in and feel comfortable. It's very uncomfortable to go in a space and see that nobody looks like you, that nobody thinks like you, speaks like you, feels like you, comes and understands your culture. And so in this space, we're celebrated. And we just love doing that. I'm not used to working with in a timeline. Y'all forgive me, I can go on forever.
So what is the Museum for Black Girls and why? So more than ever before, people are living for experiences, and the Museum for Black Girls is part of the movement. We're creating a sensory museum where people not only see the art, but interact with it. Our guests will be able to see, hear, and touch their memories. Museum for Black Girls was created by an exemplary group of Black women, hopeful to bring together like-minded artists with a passion to inspire the community and to better understand the Black female experience. Our priority for the museum and its exhibits is to create a space that educates and engages with new audiences, as well as creating a new world for Black girls. The goal is to magnify the positive contributions of Black women and provide the representation we do not often see. It's also a space to make sure that underrepresented artists are seen and heard, and to provide access to resource and knowledge, and also to educate in a unique way. So we're creating interactive and immersive experiences where people are getting all senses and connecting through their own stories and experiences as well.
Absolutely. And in our space, we have events. We have all kinds of events. And what we are striving to do is educate our community in so many different ways. We recently had an event where we had people come in to learn about grant writing for their businesses. We do this after hours and we allow the community come in for free. We create panels where they can ask questions, where they don't feel belittled, maybe because they didn't have a degree in business, but yet they want to start up their own business. So we gather people who have this knowledge and who have this experience so that they can share what they know, what they've been through, what they've learned with people who are trying to do the same thing, who are trying to achieve things, maybe start their own restaurant, maybe open up a salon or barber shop, things that we've done are staples in the Black community, where we come and we embrace each other, we encourage each other, we inspire each other. Maybe that's what they want to do and they have no idea how to start. So we have things like that.
Okay. There are very few spaces where Black people especially Black women, are celebrated and can see themselves as reflected in a truly authentic way, where we're able to shape the narrative and tell our own story. So that is the problem. What is the solution to that? The Museum for Black Girls, but it's also the solution of creating opportunities for more artists, creating opportunities for more education. We collaborate with some local schools to build curriculums that provide representation for young Black girls. We've had youth empowerment programs that we've partnered with to make sure that they're seen and know about the space. And we've just created a safe space where artists or young Black girls or Black women can be seen. A lot of our stories that you will see are trauma-based, and we wanted to change that. We wanted to change the narrative because there's so much more and so many levels to Black women. So we wanted to create a loving, vibrant, colorful, celebratory space. So here's our competitors. We don't have very many. One of them is called the Black Hair Experience. They're specifically one that targets Black women and combines interactive experiences. So that's the only one that we know of that creates social justice and impact. The advantages of the museum is that we're the very first museum of its kind, especially in Denver, combining interactive experiences with social impact and education. There's no surrounding competitors at this time. The Black Hair Experience is mostly East Coast based, and the growth rate has been exponential. So we went from 300 visitors in 2019 and beginning of 2020 to now almost 2,000 visitors and over 100,000 people reached on social media, and also 50,000 monthly website views or Google searches. Thank you.
Is it okay? Well, thank you for your presentation. And I just want to understand, for me, it's not very clear. Are you already operating? Is it located here in Denver?
Yes, ma'am. We are already operating. We actually just closed our Denver exhibition. We open in our second location in Houston next week. And we'll be reopening hopefully in downtown Denver before the end of the year. So we have 3 to 5 locations in other cities already planned to pop up to see the Museum for Black Girls. But yes, we are already operating.
Okay, and just to have this clear, it's a community space, it's a museum, it's interactive, so it's a combination of
Yes,
all
ma'am.
those?
It's a
Okay.
combination of all of those. So it started out just as a museum and it's turned into a community space where we have events and we have networking things going on and combining with these youth empowerment. So that's how much it's grown from starting where we were to now.
Okay, and last question. You were talking about an exponential growth and you gave some numbers. And does this comes from partnerships? Is it just, marketing?
It's all kind of just been marketing and just, I want to just say organic growth. I would like to say we had a lot of news stories and things that came out at the beginning of this year when we reopened in the space that we're in now. A lot of it's all been word of mouth or social media.
Okay, thank you.
Hey. Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
What is your revenue streams? What are they? I heard events, I heard B2G and districts and all sorts of things. So what are the revenue streams?
So we have merchandise. We also have local Black businesses that we allow to come in and allow their items to be in the space and just take a small percentage of that. We do free vendor market pop-ups. The revenue streams are ticket sales, merchandise, small Black-owned businesses that we just take a small percentage of, events, and
we also want a permanent home here in Denver. Denver is our home and this is where we're from. We'd like a permanent home. We don't want to just pop up one time. We want to do something that's impactful always, that not only impacts young Black girls, but impacts our community. We want to have a space, and we've had this, and we've had events where we have had representation from every culture, and we have had a ball. We've had a blast. We've done all kind of events. One of our events that we had is we had a song that was actually produced by a award-winning music producer, Derek Hodge, came in and asked if he could bring all of his equipment and record a song in the space, bring people for free to teach them how you do it. He brought all of his equipment, a harpist, a cellist, a violinist who answered questions to little girls and who inspired to play an instrument. It was an amazing event. The community was there. Sorry, we couldn't share the video. We did have it. And then he took it to California where the Philharmonica Orchestra played the song that was recorded in our space. And it was so beautiful. And it was just a song that empowered who we are. And it was super cool. And Common laid a rap down to it and gave us a little shout out. We was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's been in Common's band since Common was Common, so that's huge.
Yeah.
All of it's huge, and so I've been there, so I know how huge it is. Plus, I've been following it. I mean, leading with the amount of sort of brand equity that you all have is really important, and we can talk more about that. But you have some big brand equity in the nation around what you're doing and what's possible, and that's huge. So, what does expansion look like to you, and how much is it going to cost?
Yes, I think that we're still definitely working on numbers. Right now, I know we at least need 300 to 400K to do what we're doing. Everything has been self-funded and artists have donated their time and resources and materials to build this space. But we've been able to do it 3 times in Denver and now in Houston, just off of the revenue we have been able to make in the space right now. So we're growing rapidly just from this year alone. But that's where I think we're at right now. We're still in talks about those as we continue to grow, but.
You mentioned that you felt that you didn't have much competition in Colorado. What about in Texas?
In Texas, the Black Hair Experience just popped up in Texas, as well as there's another museum called the Black Girl Magic Museum. They're both in Dallas, however, which is 3 to 4 hours away. There's no one specifically in the realm of Houston. However, I still think that we're different because we have a purpose and a social impact piece and an educational piece, which is kind of a little bit different from aside from the other 2 museums that are there that are targeting Black women and that are for Black women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys did amazing. One more time. Whew. How are y'all feeling? Everybody good? I like it. Next up, we have Grant. Oh, I'll wait. Let's take a moment. Brothers, how you feeling? Sisters, y'all all right? No, y'all, all right. I tried. I was trying. Did you see me? All right, next up, we have Grant Vest. We can, yeah. Cool.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. We got these. We'll be all right. Thank you so much. Make sure this works. Want me on my left?
Yeah.
Lovely.
All right.
Oh, we're good to go.
Good evening, Denver Startup Week. My name is Virginia.
And my name is Osa. And together we've built Grant Vest, a blended capital platform for underrepresented founders. Now, what is an underrepresented founder? It's all of you, women, veterans, people who come from marginalized communities, people who identify with LGBTQ+, individuals who have that one thing that keep them up at night. For Virginia and I, we're also these same exact entrepreneurs. And the thing that keeps us up at night is the fact that we are working, living, and trying to build in a system that has been broken from the start. There is a 2% success rate in venture capital. Of that 2%, 10% goes to underrepresented founders. And of that 10%, less than 1% goes to Black and women-led companies, minority women-led companies.
And last year, despite a pandemic, venture capital investment went up, except for underrepresented founders. So Our focus is using blended capital to fund your startups. Think grants, where you don't give up equity or take on debt. But the problem is, one, there's no centralized location for public or private grants. And two, even if you can find the grant, is it a successful match without intensive research? And three, some grants have restrictions like follow-on match funding. And for underrepresented founders, we tend to not have the friends and family network to commit. And four, investors want to invest in us, but they do not have the platform or the pipeline.
So we talked about the problem. Now let's talk about the solution. GrantVest has three main components: the non-dilutive grants that we source, the investor networks that we curate, and the underrepresented founder pipelines that we provide. Now we've gone ahead and built out our first version of GrantVest. We already have 1.0 that we've done in-house. We're currently working on a 2.0 version with our partners Justice Reskill and JR Launch. When it comes to the competitive landscape, we have three types of competitors. The first are going to be your consultants who do grant research. Number two, you have these nonprofit grant databases. And number three, you have for-profit grant databases. Now, within this competitive landscape, we have three different competitive advantages. The first one being the total amount of grants on our platform. Based on syndicated reports, we have roughly 80% of the total grant landscape that is out there. That is roughly $1 trillion. Number two is our matching algorithm. This helps founders find the right grant very quickly. And number three, we have our investor network. Now, this investor network, we provide them with a pipeline of underrepresented founders that have been pre-vetted. The same deal flow that all these folks and their moms have been talking about and looking for.
So let's talk about this $16 billion market size. But the truth is, it's actually about the impact. The impact is reaching 9 million of underrepresented founders out there. But what does our ideal customer look like? It's actually B2B enterprise customers. And there's two groups. One is the grantors. So think banks, foundations, angel groups that want underrepresented deal flow, but don't have the pipeline or the platform. And group B are startup hubs, your accelerator programs, your OEDIS, your CDIFs, your universities that have a portfolio of 30 companies or 500 members. Now, how do we make money? We're a B2B invite-only SaaS model with an initial flat rate of $25,000 and a monthly subscription plan of $150. And while we have not launched our platform yet, we actually in our first month have pre-sold our first enterprise customers, are in current negotiation contracts with 17 others as well. In our first year, we're on track to reach $1 million with 25 enterprise customers.
Awesome. And so we have a multifaceted go-to-market strategy, but kind of for the sake of time, we're going to focus on how we do systematic lead generation. And so this is in two ways. The first is that we have commission-based partnerships with organizations that are value aligned. Number two is every time that we source a grant onto our platform, we verify that grant with the grantor. Once it's been verified through testing, we found that roughly they have access to 7 potential customers and are willing to make that warm introduction for us. The future for GrantVest. We're working on some really cool things. More specifically, a feature that will allow our investors to make syndicated investments into these same entrepreneurs. As for our team, why are we the best to kind of tackle this problem and build out GrantVest? I currently vet deal flow in the US and across sub-Saharan Africa. I've also worked as an interim CMO for early stage tech companies.
And my name is Virginia again, and I am a former corporate attorney as well as a former grant writer and educator. I currently sit on a variety of state, federal, and private boards and committees that vet grants as well. But listen, the truth is, it took us forever to figure out our educational attainment. And at the same time, we got these token opportunities on boards. But in this space, we're still struggling.
And it's really, really important that we know you are not investing in us. You are investing in the hundreds and thousands of individuals that this platform is going to touch. The same people that will build the solutions for marginalized communities and that will address economic issues.
So at Grant Best, we can't do this alone, and we need your help to grow and scale. So today we have two acts. One, if you or someone you know fit our customer profile, please let us know. We would love to talk to them. And two, while Oz and I have bootstrapped the initial product development, we are currently actually seeking $100,000 for our next iteration in non-diluted capital. So join us, invest in us.
Thank you.
Reimagine the capital pipeline.
I don't have a question, but I want to say something because I saw you at a pitch competition 3 weeks ago. I had about 5 minutes to give you some feedback. And if you all didn't take that feedback and come up on this stage tonight and drop it down, and this is the hustle. This is the hustle. It's paying attention to everything people say, being willing to be flexible, being willing to think, being willing to revisit it every time and sharpen it and sharpen it. So I just want to say that, and I'll let them ask questions since I had a million for you last time, but I'm really proud of the hustle.
You should clap for that. And now I'm bummed I didn't see before and now, but really, really nice presentation. So not having any of that further context, I think you guys did a really incredible job. Really clearly identifying the problem, which is clearly access. Can you talk a little bit more about how you're tackling the access issue, but then success as part of the matching, right? So that's going to be a key piece as part of that as well. It's not just having those opportunities, it's making sure that we actually change those statistics by funding entrepreneurs and making that part of the equation.
Awesome. I could start with that one. And so access, that's everything. And so right now we kind of have two major hurdles, right? The first one is sourcing all these grants. And so right now, if you think about the grant landscape, it's all siloed, right? So they're all over the place. What we've been able to do is build out these grant crawlers, right? That pull this information from each one of these websites, right? The second part of that, and so that's kind of just accessing these grants, right? Number two is making sure that founders have the right grant, finding the right grant on our platform. And so that's where that algorithm comes in. And so what we've been doing is we've been tagging all of these grants. We kind of created this kind of data taxonomy in-house. And so we've been, through tagging these grants, we can then have these founders put in certain information, and then they are matched to the kind of right grant, for lack of a better word. And of course, we'll continue that process over time. And so that's kind of success within our platform. Now we talk about success outside of the platform, right? And so the biggest issue that we're having is figuring out what the efficacy is, right? Let's say you get that grant on our platform. How do we know that you actually want it? And so that's why we've been kind of having these verification processes with these grantors. It's going to take us some time to still build these relationships, but they're providing us with that information because they're essentially saying, hey, if you can provide us with deal flow, we'll provide you with the statistics, because within this entire ecosystem, we all need that information. Does that answer your question? Go ahead.
One thing I actually do want to add is I talked about some grants have match restrictions. And the truth is minorities tend to not apply to grants because they don't have access, or they don't think they have access to that match. So we're trying to lower those barriers and those obstacles to entry by having actually this investor platform, because what we've heard from investors, they want deal flow, they want to find it. They don't know where it is. And where it is in the early stages of where the entrepreneurs are, especially the ones that are underrepresented.
Thank you. And my question is about the end users. With the technology gap and looking at what your market is, what's your intention on how to get to them?
And so just to be clear, the individuals who actually get onto the platform, like the businesses searching for grants. Beautiful. And so I can start, and you can, of course, add in. And so right now we're working with these, doing B2B sales, right? And so the biggest thing is that we could go out there and just start doing a ton of marketing and try to bring all these folks inbound. What we realize is that the best way to kind of start that is by working with these organizations who've already done the work for us, right? They curate all these individuals. And one of the kind of value propositions that these organizations are providing is resources, the biggest one being capital. right? And so let's say you have a cohort at the Commons on Champa, right? Champions program. Let's say that first night they're saying, hey, you know, I'm looking for capital, right? We'll have an onboarding session with them or whoever's running the program and say, hey, we have this GrantVest platform that you all can utilize. And so those B2B customers will be paying for pretty much everything. And then as we kind of grow that out, then we'll move into B2C. But long story short, they have the customers.
Oh, is it working? Oh, great. Anytime people get so spirited and excited and happy about giving Black women, people of color and women money, I'm right there with you. So I do have a question though. Can you break down for me I know you did some of this, but I want to understand more clearly your revenue stream and how much it costs for a customer to engage with you.
Sure. So we talked about, if you want to go to our appendix.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about we're a B2B enterprise model. So think SystemBiz, we would come to you, right? We would come to you and we have a flat fee, right? Roughly around $25,000. It's scalable for depending on certain institutions, as well as we have monthly fees of $150 depending on the number of users you do have. In our research and experience, we know that there's a 36-month lifetime value. So generally, people will stay on for about 3 years. So that's our revenue stream.
Okay, I know they're gonna make a stop, and I have two parts to my question.
Yes.
So have you looked at what your customers currently spend on this type of service?
So this is the thing, there's no really this type of particular service. What we're actually essentially doing is white labeling in a way. So a lot of times, if you think about, I'm thinking about SystemBiz, I know you have some grants, right, that you might want to keep in-house internally for your community, but you want them to have access to everything else and also an investor platform. So really, it's a white label for SystemBiz powered by GrantVest there, as well as other monthly fees. But in general, in terms of similarly situated, not grant-related investor platforms, we're actually right on par, if not under.
Yeah, and just to give you an example, to pay a consultant to do all this research for you can be upwards of $50K.
So we're cheaper.
I'm loud enough, so I didn't even need the microphone. All right. And then I know there's some people that are still in the back. If you want to come in and grab a seat, there's a couple open. Any takers? There's like 3 seats, 4, 5. Going once, going twice. Okay, so next up, we have Oh My Empanadas. Do we want to give them a round of applause?
I'm fine. I want to get whatever works better. I think those are fine actually, because I don't want to get. Okay.
Chris Haven. I did know that because he designed everything in here.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I can hear myself, so that's a good sign.
Hola.
Thank you, everybody. We are Oh My Empanada, Team Oh My Empanada. We are here to talk about our Colombian empanadas. Very excited to be here as part of the pitch competition with everybody and talk a little bit more about our product and kind of our next steps. So here's a little bit of our agenda, and we'll move forward with introductions. My beautiful wife, owner, is Xiomara Sanchez.
You better say I'm beautiful. Well, my name is Xiomara Sanchez. ¿Cómo están? I'm originally from Colombia, and I'm here to talk about how to fill your world with culture. So this is the team. So I'm the owner, and my husband, Dan Tafoya, is the co-owner, and our beautiful moms. My mom is Marta, who's from Colombia, and my mother-in-law, Miss Eva, who is from the Philippines. So they both help us to come up with this idea, and they're actually play a big part of the feelings that we came up with.
So when we got together, Xiomara and I, late 2020, we talked a little bit about what the market is and what the problem is, right? So what we looked at is the Denver metro area. It's a diverse city, growing in population, with people coming from just not only outside states, but also outside countries, right? I think we looked at the last 10 years and we saw about a 21% increase in population within Denver. So the question is, how do we come up with a way to keep up with the food? How do we respond to the changing demographic and give people alternative food options? So we looked a little bit at the market and what's currently out there in terms of empanadas. As you guys may or may not know, Denver is a little bit different than some of the other cities that may have more saturated markets like Miami, in cities on the East Coast. So when we did our research, we found that there are 3 Colombian restaurants within Denver, okay, 3 brick and mortar locations. And not only do they do empanadas, but they also focus on other Colombian foods. We also found that there are 2 restaurants that really focus solely on empanadas. Okay, now the thing with those 2 locations is they are actually different than us because they are from different countries. We are from, well, my wife's from Colombia, and those empanadas are from other places. And then we also found that there is only 1 location that sells frozen empanadas, and we call those take and make empanadas, which you can actually purchase from us and make them at home.
So our solution, this is where we came up with this product. So the modern society always craves new foods. Something that always drives me crazy is every time I go back home or I go to Miami and come back to Denver and I'm like, what am I gonna eat? There's not many options. I just came back from home, actually. I just went to Colombia. So that's something that always made me think about having my empanada business in this great city, which is Denver. Now I'm gonna talk about the product. How we came up with this crazy idea of having Colombian empanadas when people only probably know about Argentinian empanadas in Denver, right? So back in October 2020, I actually was a community relations person for the Census 2020 with the US Department of Commerce, and my contract ended in the middle of a pandemic. Didn't know what to do. But I was raised by a single mom who taught me how to come up out of these difficult moments and make it work. And that's where all my empanada was created. And of course, I always say this, I wouldn't be able to do this with the help of my husband. So our empanadas are gluten-free. We have 9 different fillings. So our traditional Colombian empanada, for those that have been in Colombia, it is actually shredded beef and potato. We also have chicken. We didn't forget about the people that like it spicy. I do not, but my husband do. So we came up with chicken, jalapeno, and cheese. We also have our chicharron lovers. We have vegan options, 2 options. So we have mushroom and potato, and we have black beans. And we also have the Hawaiian empanada, which is ham and cheese and pineapple. And then we do have one of our favorite ones, which is sweet plantain and cheese. So we call it madurito in Colombia. So, so also they are available ready to eat or frozen. These empanadas in Colombia are very traditional. You can find them in every corner in the neighborhoods. So we also actually made our own salsa, which is called ají y no pica. It's not spicy. So, so we have to put a little bit of the jalapeno to make it spicy. We understand that here people like it spicy a lot. So we just wanted to make sure that, it had that hint of spicy on it.
Got to have a little kick, in my opinion, but talk a little bit about the pricing and kind of what we did to determine our overall costs. Again, when we talk about the competitors, we find that we fall within range of what our competitors are charging per empanada. As you can see, they're in the $3 to $4 range. Those are a little bit different again, but when you look at the Colombian restaurants and what they're charging, we're right in that $3 range. We're looking at about, I think, a 75% profit margin is what we last calculated based on everything. But again, when we set that price point, we looked at a few different factors. We looked at the options that we have that Xiomara just mentioned. We also looked at, obviously all natural, high quality ingredients that we really specifically find and that we're using in our empanadas all the time. And then each one at this time is literally handmade from scratch, from making the masa to making the fillings to the packaging piece. All of it's really done just between me and her. So that's really kind of what we factored into our competitive pricing as well. Quick little snapshot of financials. We did take a screenshot of our 1-year cash flow month over month. Again, we are relatively new. We started in December of 2020. And when we first started, we really had a hard social media push, and we really focused on deliveries and selling out of our commercial remote kitchen. As time went on, we actually progressed into a city park farmers market every Saturday. So that gave us a consistent location, which actually was a great opportunity for us because it allowed us to have just walk-in customers, people that have never heard of us before, people that just decided, oh, this looks great and I want to try it. And it's been, as you can see, month over month, it's been fantastic. We're nearing the end of winter or start of winter here. So we're looking into, and we'll talk more about that into the next steps for the winter, which is the Omana we'll talk about now.
So of course, at any business, we're looking to grow, right? We're looking to grow, and this is our 3-year plan. So in 2021, we continue to create relationships. I have a very hard time creating relationships. I was very sarcastic. I love to do that. So I know I love to, of course, promote something that is my own product and something that I make. So in 2022, we want to finalize our business accelerator program. Thank to E4All, we were one of the finalists, and that's been an amazing program for us. And then we are ready to next steps into our brick and mortar location. In 2023, we will definitely want to expand our business partners and focus a little bit more in the distribution, frozen empanadas. And one of our biggest dreams is to make it to one of our stadiums, either in the Rapids, Bronco fan, so he want to make it to Broncos. So I would say that's probably one of our biggest goal is to make that in 2023. In conclusion, this is what Oh My Empanada is about. It's filled with kosher. We come up with all different fillings. It's different. It's a different concept. It's unique. Why is unique? Because we thought about everyone, meat eaters, vegan, and vegetarians. We're here just to make this city a diverse city, and we hope that Oh My Empanada can make it to the next level. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your presentation. Now I'm really hungry and I'm really sad that I'm just looking at it and we don't have any to eat right now.
I wanted to preface with this. We wanted to bring some, but we read in the fine print that we can't feed you guys. So we left you with the sign to look at what you all are.
We'll be okay with that. We're very sad though. Or I'm speaking for everyone, but yeah. Okay, thank you. Can you talk a little bit more about the capital that you're raising? I didn't quite catch that at the end. I know you were a little bit rushed for time, but if you can just share a bit more about that and your plans in between going from the farmer's market to the brick and mortar post accelerator.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that. So right now, all of our capital is basically obviously the farmer's market and the deliveries and selling them at a remote kitchen. It's really income based on the sales that we're doing right now at this time. Obviously we're very early in the game and we want to expand that to create more capital. And I think that with this competition is something that we're looking to kind of expand on in terms of what we can use for costs and what we can buy. Some of the next steps that we've looked at too is, obviously the co-packing and when you talk about mass distribution, you're talking about the machinery that's involved with that. So those are all things that we're hoping to get more on moving forward.
I'm curious about why the brick and mortar first versus the frozen market and distribution channels like that.
That's a good question because we feel like people don't know much about Colombian empanadas. So we need to put our name out there. And that's what the farmers market has been such a good venue because we have the opportunity to interact with the customer, which is so different. We're both people's person. We want to make sure that we have the opportunity to talk about our product. So I think having the location is definitely going to expose us to the community to market our product better. And when we are actually in the market, and then we can come out of the wholesale. But I think first we have to have that location where people can go and try the empanadas.
Testing.
There it is.
Are you in a commercial kitchen facility right now?
Yeah, we are. The one on Charian and Morrison.
Okay. I guess I wanted to get a sense of the revenue to date. When did you say you started?
We started on December 2020, but it wasn't until May that we start doing the farmers market. So
Okay.
it was really May, because between December and May, we didn't, did much.
And what are the monthly revenues typically like?
Yeah, we were doing deliveries and we were operating from the commercial kitchen during that time.
But what were your
remotely.
sales like on a monthly basis?
So it ranged from about 25 to, well, July, for example, was a $10,000 month for us
Okay.
in terms of sales alone.
Okay.
So it really just ranged. And again, that's also something that's point out too, is this is on a part-time basis.
Right.
So we're looking at 5 hours at a farmer's market and deliveries and selling out of a remote kitchen a few
Mhm.
hours a week. So there's, if we're able to go full-time with it, we're trying to do the math on that, but.
Thanks.
Hola. Thank you for your presentation. And I guess my question would be also about growth. So looking at your 3-year plan, you were talking about potentially be at a stadium or again, brick and mortar, but also doing wholesale. Can you just explain about like those goals with that? How are you going to face them for those 3 years, if that makes sense?
Wanna answer that?
Yeah, I think I can start with that. So we're, and Ziomata mentioned earlier, we've been accepted in this business accelerator program. And I think that's going to be the first step for us right now, is really understanding what that next path is going to be. Because we are taking a very conservative approach that we don't want to waste time either. But we also, and that's probably more me than her, she's ready to do whatever she wants to do, but I'm very much, let's plan and let's try to really get the details out before we do it. So we really want to weigh the pros and cons between all 3 of those paths, because there's a lot of different ways. We know we have a great product. We know people love it. And we just want to really make sure that we are understanding what's the best path at this point before we lay that next domino.
And I think we were so naive with the product until we came to the market, is when we were like, oh my God, people really like it. And I think that's when we were like, we have to start thinking that this is our business, this is our baby, and we have to take care of it. So that's what it is.
So I'm curious, because different money that you can get for your business is a different color. Think of it that way. Are you building a business that you will run forever? Are you building a business you will sell for lots of money?
So I think I'm the type of person that believes that if you want something to make it somewhere, you have to take care of it. So I think for now we are thinking about our family business, haven't even think about to giving it to anybody. And that's the reason why so far we've been so skeptical about bringing more people, because we want to make sure that our family is involved. And then for now, we are not thinking about selling it. So it's going to be our family business.
I'll be honest, that'd be a great decision to make down the road, right? Is, how do we sell that to somebody and go from there?
Important decision when you're going after capital to know what the long game is, right? If a family run business where you're millionaires because you're making that much money and you're doing it forever and you pass it to your kids, it's amazing. It's a different type of capital than venture, for instance, right? If I give you $1 million and you sell it to some big food guy who's putting it everywhere, it's just a different way to think about how you're going after money.
Correct. Mhm. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this thing on? Let's give them another round of applause. It's kind of on. So next up, we have Oso Mills. Let's give them a round of applause as we wait for them to come up. Oh, well, and I just want to say thank you for everyone that joined us here tonight and everyone that joined us online. We appreciate you guys showing up to our first ever hybrid Denver Startup Week. Woo! They're coming, I promise. Nobody has food. I know. I should have had some snacks. Depending on what do we follow, the CDC guidelines. So depending on what they say, We may or may not have food next year. And I will not tell you if we got food this year. No, we didn't get any food. So anybody watching, we didn't get any food. All right.
Good to meet you all. Thank you all for having us, and thank you to Denver Startup Week. We are also Adventure Meals. My name is Felipe Vieira, and this is my co-founder, Marcos Vieira. And yes, we're brothers. I'm sorry, looking one.
Oh, whatever.
But yeah, we are. So who are we? So we are also Adventure Meals. Turn your mic on. Oh. So who are we? We are also Adventure Meals. We are a new type of food company. We specialize in backpacking, backcountry food. So also Meals grew out of a backpacking trip with several friends. We were 15 miles into the backpacking trip, and we were super hungry. We sat down and started eating dehydrated beef stew, and it was super bland. It was boring. And it made us start thinking of our abuelitas cooking. We started thinking of some pozole, some enchiladas, some some of that good spicy food. And it just occurred to us that there isn't, when you think of outdoor options for food, there really aren't that many options. And if there are ethnic food, for the most part, they're tokenized. For example, I walked into a Boulder outdoor shop recently and ran into barbecue tamales, dehydrated barbecue tamales. And I don't know about you all, but I didn't grow up eating barbecue tamales. And so, but we're really excited. We're excited to bring this product to you all. There's this, I'm sure you all have noticed that there's this cultural shift when it comes to BIPOC folks accessing the outdoors. And we want to be a part of that and diversify the outdoors through culturally relevant, good tasting, especially good tasting outdoor food. And that's the problem that we're trying to solve. We are trying to solve for the fact that right now, for the most part, people hate eating bland, flavorless food after strenuous outdoor activities, right? And for the most part, the majority of the companies that you see out there in REI or small outdoor shops, overwhelmingly cater to a wide audience. And like I mentioned, there isn't culturally relevant food options for folks wanting to enjoy the outdoors. And so the solution, I think, is very simple. We are creating real, authentic, good tasting food for folks so that they can, like I mentioned, they can enjoy it when they're out backpacking or when they're hiking. But I think most importantly, we are also, being able to, create a more welcoming space for BIPOC folks to enjoy the outdoors through representation. And what better way to do it than through good food? And that's why it matters, as I mentioned, there's long, Black, Indigenous, and immigrant Americans have long faced cultural and institutional barriers to participation in outdoor activities. And we believe it's time to disrupt this imbalance. And so I'll pass it on to my co-founder.
Thank you, Felipe. Can everyone hear me? So we conducted a survey consisting of up to 100 individuals. And these are some of the key takeaways. 72% of the responses had negative perceptions or bad experiences with the current dehydrated meals that are out there. 10% of the responses had no exposure to backpacking dehydrated meals. 90% of the responses said they cared deeply about the social impact on the brands that they buy from. And 90% of the responses said they wanted to try more flavorful adventure meals. A key quote from one of the individuals that we surveyed is, "In my experience, the current dehydrated meal options today are gross and not appetizing at all. When I go camping, our family usually doesn't buy any dehydrated meals because we usually fish. But the one time we did, I would have rather not eaten." I think a lot of the current options today are bland and tasteless. We also did some competition research found out that none of them are owned by people of color. And they're all focused on the traditional American meals, like beef stew and the barbecue tamales. What makes this different is that 75% of the founding team identifies as Latino, and 50% of the team are first-generation Mexican-American immigrants. And we're focused on Latin-inspired recipes. Some of the meals that we're currently launching with are huevos rancheros, pozole, enchilada bowl, and veggie enchilada bowl for those that are vegetarian. Now go ahead and pass this over to Felipe.
So as I mentioned, this idea started a year and a half ago on that backpacking trip. And since then we launched this year, we launched the Kickstarter in March, and in 45 days, we were able to hit our goal of $20,000 with over 260 pre-orders, with no paid advertising, all through word of mouth, all through social media, through all the connections that we have made over the years, and just folks that really believe in this and care deeply about not only our success, but also the success of our venture and the social impact. And so this was really exciting to be able to hit that goal. And yeah. And along with that, when we announced the Kickstarter too, a lot of folks eager for partnership were reached out to us. There's environmental learning for kids, big city mountaineers, and also, the Colorado Food Cluster here in Colorado. They sent us a letter of intent to secure over $200,000 in also adventure meals, pozole, enchiladas, etc. And this is the founding team. There's 4 of us. Marcos is very humble, and forgot to mention that he's part of the Watson Entrepreneurship Fellowship. And so he's really diving in and spending all his time on building out our venture. And Don Brera is incredible. He's got over 10 years of managing people and capital fundraising, and Connor has over 7 years of operations and product management. We are seeking, so the future for also Adventure Meals, we are seeking between $500,000, and we're looking to fulfill 20,000 pre-orders. And we're also looking to invest in full-time roles and part-time roles, and also do more product development as well. But yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's time to stop, and appreciate you all for listening to us. Questions?
Hey, it's really nice to see you guys. And although I didn't participate in your market research, I definitely could have been one of those quotes up there. So appreciate what you're doing to disrupt this space for sure. Can you talk a little bit about the actual product, how you're making it, what it costs, all of that?
Yeah, so great question. So we partnered with a food scientist. So we had the recipes. We consulted my mom and family members around the recipes, and we went to a food scientist to make sure that we could source all the ingredients, be able to have the nutrition labels, everything. And then we partnered with a co-packing manufacturer here in Boulder. So it's Colorado made. And so that's a bit about the process. Mm-hmm.
These mics are so whack. I might actually mess around and do some backpacking when y'all get this up and running. But yeah, like I said, thanks for filling gaps in this type of space. I am curious about the numbers here and your revenue goals as they relate to like B2C versus your B2B partnerships. Like, where's your revenue, the bulk of your revenue coming from? What percentage is going to partnerships like the one that you secured versus That's
a great question. I think for now, I think that's very, I would say that's for the most part separate from where we're mostly getting our revenue from. I think we done through our market research, for example, Backcountry Pantry makes over $17 million a year annually. For us, I think those numbers that we lifted up earlier about, the partnership that we mentioned, I think is very much additional to, the revenue that we hope to take in. I think it's very much, it's part of our corporate social responsibility intent to be able to give back to our community. Because yes, it's about, bringing in revenue, but it's also very much about, like we mentioned, diversifying the outdoors. So hopefully that answered your question. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna color money you as well. So first question, what would you do with $1 million investment?
So there's currently a lack of Latin dehydrated ingredients out there, and the process is super expensive and hard to get. Like with pozole, for example, the hominy, there's not a lot. None of it out there that's dehydrated. So we're stepping into something new here, and being able to dehydrate, all these ingredients takes a lot of funds. So I'm guessing most of that would go towards that, so we could have more options for everyone.
So to add to that, so we would love to have our own, with $1 million, we would love to have our own production site, have our own dehydrating facility, so we can bring it in-house and make it ourselves and be a supplier too, because I think that's part of disrupting this food space, because really we're creating the meals, but we would love to additionally change that, because it is, as Marcos mentioned, expensive. And yeah.
And to add to that, this is the start of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get into also beverages like horchata, café de olla, take it to go or whatever on a little packet, or protein bars with Latin fruit. Yeah.
And definitely our vision is to long-term be in REI or be in other outdoor vendors. And so yeah, additionally.
Building to run or building to sell?
Great question. I think, we're both immigrants to this country. And I think for us, for example, we recently bought our first house, and for us, we care deeply about building generational wealth. And so I think, would love for our company to be passed down, to our family, to our kids. But then again, I think it's important not to limit yourself. And if the opportunity does arise to be able to sell the company, I think we would consider it. And we have a voting system amongst the 4 founders to make sure it's consensual and everyone's, interested. So
I'm sorry, I know you said one, but I want to know what is your recipe? What are some of your recipes? What are you selling?
Yeah, so we have a pozole, and it's really tasty. And then we have enchiladas, chicken enchiladas. Then we have huevos rancheros, and then we have a veggie enchilada bowl. And so, yeah.
So amazing. This mic is not letting me be great. I'm trying, but it is not letting me be great. They did such an amazing job. Let's give them another round of applause. And next up, we have the Black Travel Box. Let's give her an applause while she's on her way up here, guys. She's coming. Are we all set? Is it on? I don't think we're good. Okay. Should I just step up? Oh, you hear me?
They can't hear me yet. Okay, I didn't think I heard a. Hello, hello. Oh, I hear myself. Hello, everyone. All right, let me see where we're at. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you guys today. I'm gonna have my cheat sheet because this was real quick and last minute, but a very nicely put together event. I'm not gonna lie. So, and it's like, I don't recognize your face because you're wearing your glasses. Also because I cannot see. So guys, my name is Orion Brown and I'm the founder and CEO of Black Travel Box. We are pretty much the only premium personal care products brand made specifically for travelers of color. I got the right button. As a 15-year career brand strategist and a marketing professional and a big lover of travel, I've been in nearly 20 or so countries. And like there's me in Ireland and in Kenya and in a host of other places. I gets it in where I can. And with all of these places and all of these spaces, it's really a challenge to maintain my personal care routine from, just access to products all the way to just what is the climate going to be any given day. Over the years, I noticed that finding products to keep up with my daily personal care and hair care specifically routine had just become a full-time job. So it was like check bags, tiny bottles, confiscated jars, way too much going on. And that little Pert Plus 3-in-1 bottle is not going to do anything for this at all. The truth is that the hair and skincare options that are in the travel aisle are not made with Black women in mind. And so I created Black Travel Box. We're a multicultural lifestyle brand that is really giving travel lovers the opportunity to just enjoy the experience rather than run around and try to make do with things that are subpar for their needs. We've been featured in top publications like Condé Nast Traveler, Beauty Insider, and a number of others. And my favorite thing, we've been featured as a top up-and-coming brand by Beyonce.com. You guys did it on cue. I'm so here for that. Thank you. Thank you. So when we click, there we go. I had to say it. That's what we need to do. So representation in the travel, beauty, and personal care industry is just a really huge challenge. As I mentioned before, the Black travel market is about $109 billion annually. That was 2019, just before COVID. And with a large chunk of that spend coming from Black women. When we look at Black travel overall, 1 in 5 Black travelers is going international at least once a year. And according to Time Magazine, that number is growing exponentially. Additionally, Black women spend 9 times more than any other ethnicity on personal care and beauty products, right? We buy more because we use more, but beauty brands and hotels are not supplying us with the options that we need. And the struggle is real. We've got folks like Gabrielle Union and Halsey, she's a sister, talking about the challenges publicly, and they're going to 5-star hotels and being like, I can't use the stuff that's here. So that's really something that gets to the heart of what Black travelers are really concerned about. They're demanding that brands and products and marketers speak to them in ways that resonate culturally and experientially. And they're also willing to pay for it. About 75% of Black travelers are like, yeah, I want you to see me and I want you to reflect me in your advertising. I want you to reflect the fact that I'm here. And then 53% of them said, I'll pay more for that. So there's a huge opportunity. When we look at the multicultural travel-ready products market, it's just ripe with opportunity. The total market for travel personal care right now is around a $43 billion mark. An estimated $3 billion of that is Black travelers, and those dollars coming from Black travelers. That leaves about a $372 million serviceable market left over for Black Travel Box to go after those tiny bottles, confiscated jars, and all of those oversized products that people are paying extra to put in their baggage, and they spill, they stain, and just they suck for travel. So what we're doing is we're disrupting travel. We're disrupting travel beauty. Rather than retrofitting big products into little jars, we're actually creating products from the ground up that are specifically for travel and out-of-home use. So our anhydrous, which means there's no water, our anhydrous balms and bars are made for travel, and they last longer, they travel better, and they're safe to use. So the only thing that our customers have to worry about is essentially the next trip. Our product line roadmap is broken into 3 tranches. So we have prep, maintenance, and repair. And that allows us to take a multi-phase approach to launch as well. So we've started in maintenance. Maintenance is, how do I maintain, preserve my sexy while I am out? How do I do that? And so that's what this first line of products is representative of. We have shampoo, co-wash, and conditioner bars. They're all in solid form. You're gonna get in water anyway. Why take the water, pay for the water, and then get more water on it? Our balms, our body balm is rich emollient based with shea butters and very lovely nut oils and things like that. So you have something that is concentrated, it won't spill in your bag, and you won't run out of it. So no dusty elbows. Same thing with our hair balm. And we'll be building out additional like hair styling treatments and other things as well. So as I said, you know, we're taking a multi-phase approach. We're starting with maintenance, and then we're going to grow through product development. And that's going to be regimen-based products, so product platforms that are for specific regimens for out-of-home use, as well as active ingredient capability. So it's a little bit more challenging to make a product that has an active ingredient, more FDA coverage, all kinds of hoops and things to jump through, which they should be there because there's some gnarly things out there. And so as that capability comes up and we're able to do that with manufacturing partners, we'll continue to build it out. Okay, so in spite of COVID, the last year has been promising with millions in earned media. We've built out our engaged community. This summer, I completed 2 really highly respected programs, the workshop at Macy's as well as Target's Ford Founders Accelerators. We'll be live on Macy's.com later this fall. We'll be in Market by Macy's, fingers crossed, but prayers up, this holiday season. We've engaged with production partners, kicked off new product development, ramped up brand marketing, and our retail sales strategy. So in 2022, we're going to use all this momentum along with a multi-tier influencer strategy, cultural and event partnerships, hotel and hospitality, as well as, you know, kind of keeping those strong luxury brand margins in place to help fuel the business. We'll continue with sales growth, which is expected to be 2 to 3x year over year, and with a positive EBITDA in 2023, and gets us conservatively, all things going well, to around almost 7 million in sales by the end of 2024. So, wait. I'm just gonna put this up so you're impressed anyway. All right, question. No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. All I had left was the ask. Nobody wants to ask things. So what should we do? Yeah.
You can finish. Tell us your ask.
Oh, so right now I'm actually raising $300K to take us through the end of the year. That's actually going to support all of these retail opportunities that are coming up. As retail opportunities come up, we have a really nicely structured P&L, so those margins are going to come in. So I'm not going to ask more than what I need. I think we're in a really great place. This will basically tee us up to have a great run for the next 16 months. So that's it. Sorry.
Testing. Okay. Hey, girl.
Hey.
So I don't have a question, unfortunately. I know a lot about your business. But I will say this. We give out your products as gifts to our funders in our sister box, and we sent the sister box to the mayor, and he called me up and he was like, how can I get some of this Black travel box stuff again?
He is a customer.
Yeah.
He's a customer now. Yeah.
And
good looking out.
And just product wise, we have seen a lot of the response to your product is what you said. That's what I see when people try your product. I guess the only thing I want to know is inventory wise, what are your future lines look like you kind of talked about it, but I was a little confused, and I feel like I want to see more of Black Travel Box
Yes.
products. So what does that look like?
Yes, so there's a few things. If you look at like our core product lines that are the core product line that is here, this has been around since the inception of the business. It started as MVP, and as you notice, people love it. So we're continuing to build off of that. So we'll have regimen-based tools. So if you're thinking about things like shampoo, co-wash, conditioner, they'll be like ingredient focused and regimen-based capsule collections of those. So variants on those. We'll also be looking at new platforms. So a bespoke platform for men, because men are like, this ain't for me. It doesn't smell like, you know, spring spruce or something. I don't know. We're not going to make it smell like spring spruce because nobody knows what that is. But so we're going to have a bespoke men's line coming out. We're going to test it out actually over Father's Day as a gifting program and then see how it does and choose products from there. And then we're also going to do Black Travel Box Kids because you don't want your kids dipping in your $38 cream. Let's just be honest, you don't. We want those kids to come back safe. Did I answer your question? Okay.
I'm very excited. I need it like now. Did you bring some in the back that I can buy from you?
I didn't come. I was like the empanada guy. Yeah. I was like, I
No
don't think I
samples
should.
allowed, huh?
I
No, okay,
know,
I'm excited. I'll go buy
I
it
got some
online.
cards though. I got some cards.
Very cool. Very exciting. Incredible market that you're tapping into. I have the same question for you that I've had for a couple of people. So I don't know if you were listening, but one, what would you do with $1 million investment?
Okay, so 3 things. First, hiring first 4 people, operations, e-com, and creative director, plus someone junior that can do all the junior things. I do have a small team now, but they're very much like remote work VA type support. They're amazing though, don't get me wrong. And we just got on ClickUp, so all our projects are in line. So that would be the first thing, getting those hirings in place. And I would actually probably allot that based off of maybe a 2 or 3 year period so that I don't really have to worry about like stressing the business or stressing them if there's challenges with the business. I think beyond that, it's working with outside vendors. So one of the things that we're doing, and I've been talking with like MPG Group, they are basically a consultancy that is outside sales. So they will act as your sales organization, just as big companies have. They'll act as that sales organization to retail. And so they will go out and do all the merchandising and doing all the deals and making sure that everything's working with the buyers. So that would be the next piece. They are a pretty penny themselves. And then I think the final piece would be really investment in R&D and development. I actually do have a product pipeline of all kinds of things that are really innovative because they're built from the ground up around out-of-home use. There are no out-of-home use brands out there right now. Everybody is, how do I make it bigger and prettier to put on your counter? I'm like, how do I make it smaller, more compact, work better for you, be less of a pain in the butt, and have you looking fabulous wherever you are? And so those would be the places that I would invest in. And then I would definitely take a couple days off. I'm not gonna lie.
Good to hear. Are you building a company that you want to sell for lots and lots of money? Are you building a company you want to run forever?
You can do both because you can sell and then you can stay on as CEO and keep your stock and make sure that it's managed the way that you want it to be managed. The way I look at Black Travel Box is I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it belonged in the world. It ain't easy. It's not, it really isn't. And we had a whole pandemonium going on and all of that. The reason why I'm doing it is because I get notes from people all the time that are like, thank you for seeing us. And I'm like, bug tears. I feel that. And so I think it needs to happen. So if there's somebody who comes along who is 1,000 times better than me, then go ahead and run the hell out of that because I want to see it here in the world. But if not, I got you.
Well, comment really, congratulations on this business, particularly during probably the most challenging time to have a beauty business, let alone in the travel industry. Kudos, truly. And I guess my question for you too is, as you're thinking about expansion and knowing the risks of COVID and things that are coming as well, what are you doing to kind of de-risk a lot of that, and especially with manufacturing and things like that around your products as well?
I think there's a few things, and somebody sneezed right when you said COVID, but I know you're not sick.
I know.
She said, oh no. So there's a few things that I'm doing. In terms of brand relevancy, one of the first things that I did this past summer when everything went kaput and like site traffic dipped 90% and relevancy wasn't there. And I was like, I don't want you to go out because I'm here for the wellness of our community. I don't need you out getting sick to be cute. But that being said, I created a platform called Staycation Collection. And I actually have products across that collection. It started out as candles because that was the one thing that I was burning candles all the time. I'm in the house by myself in sweats. Like there needs to be a candle going. And so we created this collection that is all about bringing the travel lifestyle into the home, where in a place that makes sense and doesn't really erode the equity of the brand, because we're still driving awareness of this is what we are and if we're out of home. That platform has legs to go in a number of different directions. So even if we get to variant Z, God help us, we'll have ways to continue to keep driving the core of what Black Travel Box is with the community that we're targeting and having that association. And at some point we will get to what they call the new normal and things, and we'll have that kind of in place. And that actually is really what kept the business going. Beyond that, on the supply chain side, it's just about squirreling away stuff as quickly as possible. So like if I get the 10K, that's the first thing I'm doing is I'm getting packaging to take us through holiday. I'm getting ingredients to take us through holiday. And then I'm putting down payments on getting other people to produce things for me, because that needs to happen as well.
Listen, this is the last one. One more time for the Black Travel Box. And our products are amazing. I'm taking away fingers crossed, but prayers up. Was that? Yeah, me too. Adding that to my toolbox. Next up, we have Paige Dip. Let's give her a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Just like I'm on. Am I on? All right. I'm Sharice Hawkins. I'm the CEO and founder of PageDip. And I have the unenviable position to be talking to you and pitching tonight without mentioning cryptocurrency, AI, or self-driving cars, or even wonderfully sounding food. But I'm going to talk to you about content. PageDip is a no-code, cloud-based authoring environment for making content better. You can see an example of our page dips here on the left-hand side. And we make sure that that content is not only easy to create, interactive, engaging, but most importantly, measurable. I want to jump to the chase. We're making money from really great people. So we're revenue generating, and we have some customers that are in the Fortune 500 or even higher. And you might ask, well, why are they trusting their content to PageDip? There's two reasons. The first is that we have the power of in-document analytics, something that we feel really strongly about, being able to measure the efficacy of content. And we do that with over 24 drag and drop widgets that we've developed, more growing every day, along with other media components. So we really understand the reader's journey. And that's for the second reason people come to us. That'll be a great question for Q&A. We are commercially available and revenue generating. We're really well positioned for growth. And we have a $1.5 million round that was led by Asti Angels, and also Rocky Ventures Capital participated. My background is engineering. I have a BS and MS in engineering. I started my career as a Walt Disney Imagineer, building theme parks around the globe. And then I became the VP of software development at Time Warner Cable much later, before I came to my senses and I became an entrepreneur and started PageDip. The point of that is that I have experience leading large teams, creating technology that goes out to people at scale, and have that background. I'm joined by a phenomenal team. This is us in our natural habitat in the Zoom meeting. Elliot and Laura are VP of Sales and Marketing, respectively. We also have Noah and Tyler, who are front-end and back-end developers, as well as Susie Tomanchuk, who is our sales consultant, and she helped us with some of our very early big deals with people like Comcast and Gallup. The reason we exist is because content hasn't really changed a lot in many years. It's often expensive to develop and maintain, flat, static, and hard to update, but most importantly, very difficult, if not impossible, to measure its efficacy. We had a customer tell us a few weeks ago that right now they can understand if an email was opened, if a website was viewed, or if a PDF was downloaded, but that's simply not enough information to actually make business decisions. That's where we come in. We help VPs of marketing and sales really understand the efficacy of their content. Is it doing what we think it's doing? Is it even helping us make $1 in sales? These are the questions that keep them up at night, and we're able to help. We understand that people not only get to the content, but how they actually move through it, down to the specific word or widget. That's a really powerful value proposition for those that are spending millions of dollars on their marketing campaigns and sales literacy. This is a live example that's not plain. Oh, okay, on the left-hand side is a 3-page PDF, and this was a solutions brief. On the right, imagine a page dip with all of its wonderful characteristics, being able to watch a video, interact with the widgets, even interact with a chat bot, all without having to leave the page and really understanding the reader's journey. These are the type of analytics that we provide, not only at that web level, because page dips live on a unique and secure URL that can be public or private, but also the media analytics, where we're able to provide much more granular information. And this is available in our app or exportable to other tools. Our licensing model is quite simple. We charge per seat, per individual. We also support single sign-on. And we're really excited about the fact that we'll be in the Salesforce App Exchange. We're in security review right now, and also in the Microsoft Marketplace. These are our revenue projections, the appropriate taking off. And we just added our sales and marketing team. And I'm really excited to say that in the last 6 weeks, we've closed CSS International, HPE, and Salesforce. So we've accelerated with the help of this new team, these new teammates, our revenue projections. We've actually talked to Gartner about what the opportunity will look like. And here's what we believe is the serviceable and addressable market of $34 billion. We've talked about where we would be on the Magic Quadrant and the interesting intersection between the different types of content creation, content distribution, and content management. So good news here. We're really, really pleased to be able to offer analytics for the first time at this really easy opportunity for people to provide that. And in terms of, oh, what happened here? In terms of our competition, we see ourselves seeing at the intersection of the best of the web and the best of classical documentation. So many of our customers come to us from their learning management system, from their intranet, but most often from what I'll call kind of crappy PDFs and flat documentation. There are a couple of people that sit at that intersection with us, notably Syros and Relay2. We've talked with each of them, and I've even spoken with the CEO of Relay2. I think that pitch competitions are phenomenal, and they're a really important part of our ecosystem. But I will tell you the best way to support a company like ours is to actually be a customer and help us generate more revenue and meet our goals. So I can estimate that at least 80% of you could have content in your life be much better. And so I welcome the opportunity to talk with you about PageDip and how we can be of service. I've never had the video not play ever, so I don't know. I didn't sacrifice to the demo gods or something. Let's see. It's really cool. Can we get to just play? All right, there's the answer. All right, just contact me and I will show you a demonstration on my phone. Questions?
I know y'all get me. Okay. Can you help me better understand who your customer is? Is it a B2B relationship?
Absolutely B2B. Enterprise customers, the more complex products and services they're selling, the better. So HP was a really good example. VP of marketing, VP of sales. But we've also had early adopters that were in the med tech space, as well as higher education. But we're very, very focused on sales and marketing. They have the budget and they have a very strong interest.
Got it.
Thank you for the presentation. I think I saw you pitch a few years ago at a Chloe Capital event. So it's really nice to see that you're even in a better position than you were back then. Can you talk a little bit about what strategic acquisition looks like in this space and what your exit plan is?
You heard it here first. One of the things I'm really passionate about is not only blending media, text, interactivity, but also live data. I believe that how we read and bring all things together in one page is really, really important. And so I've been more and more interested in who's doing what in terms of data visualization and how to put context around that data visualization. That's a slightly different answer than I would have given at Chloe Capital, but I think it's a very, very strong opportunity.
I've gotten to see you pitch like recently, so I don't have a ton of questions. The ones
You
I
saw the video, right?
Yes, I saw the video. It's amazing. Yeah, the product works really well. It's genius. And I asked you, but for the rest of the audience, just to hear from you, because you're in a really interesting place. But building to run or building to sell?
So,
amen.
I did not leave corporate in a high-paying job to have a homegrown business. Is this videotaped? Oh my gosh. All right. I loved my corporate job. It was great. It really was. I can hear you. It's fine.
Okay. So what would you do with the $10,000?
$10,000. We have not had a paid marketing campaign. So we have a lot of really great ideas around our go-to-market strategy. And now that we have head of sales and head of marketing, I would spend the $10,000 immediately in that space. Going once, going twice. Thank you.
For me though, you have my back a little bit. Not all, no, you guys have my back. One more round of applause for Paige Dip. And then a round of applause to everyone who applied to pitch. Thank you. Companies were amazing. It was hard to narrow it down. Cheers to our team who had to narrow it down. And then a round of applause to everyone that was here and pitched tonight. You have some incredible organizations. To the judges, your job is cut out. I don't even sending you love and light. And now we're going to take a 15-minute break so that we can calculate and come back and announce the winner. Okay. So the moment we have been waiting for. Woo! I know. Oh, that was real loud. So just I want to say this before we announce the winner. Every company that presented tonight was amazing, and you are all deserving. Next time I'm gonna raise some more money. Are we ready? Are you guys so excited? I am so excited. And the winner is the Black Travel Box. Come up here, ma'am. Yeah, come up here with me. What? All this goodness I have waiting for you right now?
Yes. Well, that's exactly why I showed up.
So, like a couple weeks ago, I know we're already over time, so give me a couple more minutes, y'all. Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I started carrying these little celebrations in a jar just for these kind of moments. Tonight, we're going to do a celebration in a jar for you. Oh my God. So we want to celebrate you and present you with your check. No, you got to celebrate though. She's going to hold the check. And then you throw, so I have a, there's a method to the madness or madness to the method. One of those. So you throw it up, you do a little jig. Yeah. I love a little dance. And I'm going to celebrate you. We're all going to celebrate you. I want to celebrate you. You know what? Somebody was like, I heard you're singing tonight. And I was like, no, nobody wanted that. But I can. 1, 2, 3. Burr, 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 burr.
You need to get one of these.
Yes,
Lovely,
one of those
cover up
check
the
picks.
shots.
They didn't cover my note.
I want to give a shout out to that little kid right there. He's been cutting up in the back room the whole night, living his best life. Ladies of the Black Girl Museum.
I want to thank everyone that was here in person that joined us and everyone online. You guys are all amazing. I hope you have an amazing Tuesday night and are ready for Denver Startup Week, day 3.